I was reading the story about 7-Up. You know where 7-Up came from? The person had failed 6 times. So the 7th time is when now 7-Up was brought in. So he decided to just call the brand 7-Up. And imagine where 7-Up is right now. It is all over the world. So if they could have decided to just leave it at the 2nd time that they had failed, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, they would not have risen up to the now 7-Up that we know right now. So I feel like failure should not be a setback. Welcome to the Balance It podcast. In this podcast, we have conversations about personal development, wellness, and purpose.
In today's episode, we're going to have a conversation about confidence, self-esteem, and public speaking. So I'm your host, Gertrude Nasike.
And I am Eda Onyoni.
Now, to start us off, I think we'll just go directly into the definitions or what these terms mean to you. What does let's start with self-confidence mean to you, or confidence in general?
Self-confidence to me is, I can say, is the willingness to try, compared to self-esteem. Self-esteem to me is how you value yourself as an individual. So confidence to me is you're willing to try out something, then there is confidence, and self-esteem is how you value yourself.
Wow, that's really nice. For me, I would say self-confidence is courage, relates to courage, relates to being less fearful to do just whatever you want or follow your passion, or even the little most things we're doing. And self-esteem, on the other hand, it relates to self-value, like just as you've said, or personally self-love. If I love myself, I will have this high esteem. And I feel like they're totally related with confidence, because you find when you have self-esteem, you actually feel confident to do things. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with
you. You totally agree, right? So I don't know, there is always this intrinsic, this conversation about intrinsic triggers or sources of self-esteem, and also extrinsic. I don't know if you can just give us a brief of what an intrinsic trigger, or what it means by having intrinsic triggers for self-esteem.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it, but let me see. Some of the intrinsic what?
Triggers, or just something, intrinsic that would be associated to self-esteem.
Yes. We have said self-esteem is how we value ourselves, and I believe that how you value yourself stems from whether you know yourself or whether you know your self-worth. Now that one comes to me as a trigger, because knowing who I am can be able to determine how I show up in the world, which is now confidence. Okay, let me bring it home.
Please do.
Let me bring it home. Yeah. So if you know yourself as an individual, you know who you are, you know your worth, then you will definitely value yourself. And how you value yourself will definitely show up in how you interact with other people, or now the courage, whether you are courageous enough or not. So I think my number one trigger for, let me speak for myself, for my self-esteem is knowing who I am. Knowing who I am, number one. And number two, I relate with spirituality. So knowing that whatever that I go through, I know that there is a higher power that holds my hand. That even if I am feeling down in whatever way, I know that there is a higher power that I can always look onto. I think that one is something that also keeps my esteem high, and not try to be validated by any other person outside myself. Yeah, so knowing who I am and knowing that there is something higher, somebody higher that I can always go to, I think gives me some self-worth as an individual.
Wow, I really like the aspect you brought up about not focusing on something external to relate it to your work, because that's the same definition I would give intrinsic triggers for self-esteem. I relate them to things that are deeply rooted to your identity. Like, for instance, sometimes you find people saying, like, for you to be happy, it really must come from within, right? Maybe you don't need to have, I don't know, a good life or a good life, money. They're important. They're very good, right?
Yes.
I'm just trying to bring out the point that if you're also not peaceful within, then you won't really have that intrinsic joy or intrinsic happiness when it comes to development matters, right? So I would say, like, for the triggers that I know that are from intrinsic, especially I like the way you've mentioned your spirit, like spirituality. For me also, like, just knowing that there's the God I worship, and I know that He's always there with me, and just knowing that my identity is kind of rooted in something that is not outside, it also gives me that sense of self-esteem. And another thing about intrinsic aspects are also things to do with authenticity. If you're feeling authentic within you, if you're feeling like deep within you, you're within, you're going by the values you have, or whatever rules, or rather whatever things that guide your life. Principles. Yeah, principles. Thank you. If you're going by whatever principles that are actually guiding your life, and you're feeling at peace, then that triggers down to also self-esteem, because you feel like you're actually living in truth.
Yes.
There is nothing as bad as living out of truth to whatever you're doing. It's like you're lying to yourself. You know, you can lie to other people, but when you're lying to yourself, definitely there's gonna be an imbalance, and then you start feeling stressed, overwhelmed, because there are conflicting situations in this case, right? Yeah, so I would say that, and maybe just I can start off the extrinsic ones. Yeah. For the extrinsic triggers, you would find that like most of the people, or most of us, attach maybe self-esteem or self-confidence with things that are outside us. Maybe I'm very beautiful, I have a very good body, or I have a lot of money, these are my achievements. If they are taken away from you, then you find that your self-esteem and confidence also goes down. These are basically external factors, and I feel like in our journey to self-confidence and self-esteem, we really need to try and just put ourselves, or have a root cause from the internal factors that actually affect us.
Yes. And I agree with that. And I just remember this phrase that is so very common with most people: fake it until you make it. Now, me, I changed it to I fake it until I make it. Yeah. Because faking, the word faking is more of not real.
It's kind of fraudulent or stuff.
Exactly. So definitely, it's not from within you as an individual, but there is the other side of you fake it. You see, you're one body, you're one mind. Your mind does not know faking. Your mind knows that you are doing it.
True.
So if you are faking reading until you know how to read, then it is a good thing. So I think it's a balance of what are you exactly faking until you make it. But if you are faking that you have maybe a rich lifestyle and you are eating into your savings, and then how is it even benefiting you in the long run? So I think let's try to faith it. I feel like faithing it because faith, everybody has different faiths. We all agree to that. But if whichever faith that you have, you faith that thing until you actually make it, because now if it is faith, then it will come from you as an individual more than the outward. Another extrinsic thing, just speaking about extrinsic factors, something that I feel like for me gives me motivation or gives me like confidence is grooming. So how I show up in the world, how people see me, like my appearance matters a lot to me. As long as I am comfortable within and how I look when I leave the house, even if according to somebody else's opinion, I am not matching their expectations, that is okay. As long as now for me grooming is very important, and how I look, because it gives me, it amplifies my confidence. So I think that is just one extrinsic factor that I can say that helps me boost my confidence, especially on the days maybe I'm not feeling like it. I'm not feeling, just maybe putting on a lipstick and maybe just looking good, putting on maybe my best clothes gives me some confidence to keep the day moving. But just the same thing as you said, we should not focus mostly on the outward and forgetting on the inside, because when maybe we'll be speaking to people, it is not how we look that only will, when you open your mouth, what are you saying when you open your mouth? That is what matters when you're actually showing up in such spaces where you need to show up as this confidence. It is not just your clothes and how you look. So focusing on the intrinsic mostly instead of just focusing on the outward. I think just having a balance of both.
Yeah, very true. I think the aspect of balance is very crucial when it comes to that. And I feel like all these aspects really contribute greatly to public speaking. I feel like public speaking is very inevitable in whatever setting, one way or another. You will always have to speak to people. It can also even just be three people. Like maybe you're told to give a speech or just as near as introducing yourself, right? And I feel like this is a conversation that as we grow, we keep evolving and noticing there are very many aspects that are in relation to it. I don't know if you can help us draw a relation between maybe good public speaking and self-confidence and esteem.
Okay, that's interesting, because I feel like just the same way you say, it is inevitable.
It is.
Especially if you want to grow. But otherwise, if you want to be in your comfort zone, I don't think you are here. Those people are not on this platform. People who are here want to grow ourselves, want to be better people. So I think public speaking, anyone can do public speaking, as long as you tell your mind that you can actually do public speaking. And public speaking is just the same way we are doing right now, speaking to you, and maybe you have many people. Now that one now becomes, this is not private speaking, it's public speaking, because I'm speaking to you as an individual. So if I can be able to talk to you on a one-to-one basis, then I can be able to talk to a mass of people. And I think it stems from ourselves within. It will always go back to
Yeah.
how we value ourselves, how we talk, the self-talk that we have with ourselves. I think that is the basis. So if I know maybe I'm not with public speaking, what should I do in order to be able to grow in that specific area of my life? Either number one, read books. Get to, because sometimes you are actually afraid of public speaking because you don't have context to speak.
I wanted to say it aloud and then I was like, no, let's take the blame.
I have been there. I have been there, and now you know better.
Because to be in conversations where you're just, yes, that's true.
For sure.
Yeah. And then someone makes a different opinion. Yes, I also think that's no.
We have to be. We are better people. We are better people, and we can do better for ourselves. Because we need to be the voices to these people who cannot be able to speak for ourselves, and we can be able to speak for ourselves and for other people as well. Yeah. So if you are there, try to read. I think books help our minds grow and also improves our intellectual capability so that you can be able to speak out well to people. And also just trying to prepare beforehand. There is no harm in writing down things if you are not comfortable. It is just like for a very short span, but you will be comfortable over time as you continuously doing it. And I think continuous practice.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't agree less, especially on the point of like preparation. Like you really need to prepare. And something about to add on, like maybe just improving maybe your content, just trying to be up to date. Listen to the news, like try to be up to date with whatever is happening around you. Just let's not be completely clueless, and also I'm thinking sometimes it comes to public speaking in maybe official settings. I would take an easier example where probably we have to present our projects during the semester in school. This is already an official setting, because as much as probably you're just presenting it to your lecturer and your fellow students, but it's already a setting that is putting you out there, and it's not like you're just talking to your friends, right? And I feel like so many times fear comes up before you do this public speaking. And just in relation to this, I don't know how do you navigate countering this fear before you start speaking, or what is the experience, maybe your emotions or how you feel when you're about to do your presentation?
For me, for a very long time, it's been anxious every time that I go maybe to speak. I know I'm going to speak in front of people, but after the first 3-4 seconds, the anxiety goes all out. Because you look at all these people, you are here to listen to me. So
well, I love that.
You are here to listen to me. So if I have this opportunity to show up to the world, why not show up unapologetically? Why not show up my best self? For me, I've been facing anxiety, and I feel like most people face that as well. Whenever we're either going to do something that matters most to us, or maybe that is now maybe speaking in front of people. But as long as you are prepared, for me, preparation has always helped. For me, actually, ever since, as long as I have content, I know I can be able to speak. The problem to me comes in when I do not have something to speak, or I am not comfortable in that specific topic that is going to be talked about. Preparation has always helped me. I'm eager to hear about you.
For me, I would also say I normally have the same feelings, like anxiety. Within the first 5-10 seconds, it's not like I'm shaking but you just feel a shaky voice in between. But after the next 10 seconds, it's like I've gained composure, and it's like getting used to now you're now in front of people and now the focus is on you, right? But now it's like your brain easily understands. And actually, this I just got to understand 2 weeks ago. These feelings of anxiety, these feelings of shakiness or not being sure within the first few seconds or minutes is actually a normal thing. And it just goes back to whatever we were saying in one of the episodes that if you're not actually probably shaking, maybe it doesn't really matter, But if you really feel like, this is a big deal, then it really matters to you. And another thing, as you've said, you are the expert.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they tell you, Edda, kindly stand and introduce yourself. No one knows Edda as best as you are. Everyone else is now listening to the expert who knows Edda. Exactly. I'm Edda doing this and I've done this, So understanding that you are the expert in whichever topic, by the time they've approached you to discuss a particular topic, show up unapologetically, because by the time they're approaching you, it means they actually believe in you delivering this specific thing, right? And then another thing I also learned from a friend of mine just recently is that you try and engage the audience, but I feel like sometimes it's not as easy, especially if you're not maybe the storytelling type or something. It's maybe you're just used to presenting, but I feel like especially if you're presenting, maybe using slides, when preparing your slides, you can have these specific maybe slides, or having maybe drawing curiosity from the audience that may make the audience actually want to learn more about it. And you can probably just pop a question to them, allowing them to also engage with you. It brings that feeling of a peer level or a peer interaction. And so there's something when you're interacting with your peers, right? Maybe you're being told, Edda, there's this maybe party I want to go to, and there'll be students.
Yeah, you'll be comfortable.
But someone tells you, Edda, there's this party I'm inviting you to, but it has the deans of the universities.
I'll go for networking.
Yeah, you will go for networking, but how would you feel with them? Would it be as comfortable as the party with peers?
Definitely
different. So I feel like the interaction that kind of brings that peer engagement at that specific point helps you to ease into the moment and just deliver a good presentation or speak confidently.
Just as you were speaking, I just remembered something that was just happening. I don't know if it was you or somebody else, when maybe somebody is presenting and they have a lot of words on the presentation and they are speaking. So it's like, you're like, am I supposed to listen to you or am I supposed to be looking at the slides? What exactly? There is normally some tension. There's like, should I listen? Should I? There is something, too many slides, too many words in a slide make you feel, especially as the person who is now on the receiving end. And I think we can do maybe like another episode on presentation. Besides now, because public speaking also involves that. Because you can be able to present your way of speech in a proper manner, then it can be easy even for the audience to understand and just follow through the whole speech altogether. So I think maybe we can go on to the next. There is sometimes you just feel inadequate, or you feel like your self-esteem is low, and it's based on some different factors. I would like to know whether you have found yourself in that specific state, and maybe what are those factors that made you get to that point. Maybe we can discuss how you got out later.
Yes, definitely. Not once, sometimes you just feel low, sometimes you just don't feel yourself. Yeah, and there are instances where you feel like, it's like there's there's something that has actually changed, But I would say, let's say some of the factors that would create most of the time these things probably are failure. Maybe especially in things that maybe I'm good at. I believe I am really good at this. Maybe let's say I'm good at studying or something, and then you fail in an exam probably, right? Sometimes it would really drain me and give you these thoughts like, why it is, it's like it was giving you this confidence, you're good at this and you didn't think you can maybe either fail at that, so this is a factor that I know previously has really taken a toll on me before, until I got to understand now later. By the way, it's always a journey. It's not like a one-time thing.
Sure.
And then these factors, you keep getting different factors. So until I got to understand later on, as my, let's say, journey back to now being this self-confidence and being with the self-esteem I had, I got to understand that it is okay to fail. It is okay to fail, and to understand that there are people who are way better than you as well. In a particular field, you might be extremely better in a particular field, but not everywhere, And this really helped me to give myself grace. People, we should learn to give ourselves grace, because it's also a form of self-love, not beating yourself up, just kind of pampering your inner self, Yeah, so this is what helped me get back, because I understood that we are not perfect. We are humans, and we have the likelihood to make mistakes. But in those mistakes, let's take them as learning opportunities. And I realized when I changed my mindset on this, I started growing differently. Yes, and I think that's also a time when I started working so much on my intrinsic triggers rather than external, because if you're failing and it takes a toll on you, because that means you have achievements, and if those achievements are being threatened, let's say use threatened or by this failure, then it's going to affect you.
Definitely.
That means you're literally getting your confidence from something external. What if one day it's completely wiped off? Will you not? Will you now become like just a victim completely? At that point is when I got that awakening, and I now started working mostly on my intrinsic triggers rather than just the external. And I felt like if I work on things from within, most of the time you find they actually get the impacts or the outcomes are now exposed from now those now achievements, or now these extrinsic things that we used to feel value with or attach value to.
And I can totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. But for me, there are those times when, especially when I feel overwhelmed, it does something to my to my personal self, or especially on those times that yes, I am overwhelmed and I have not focused on myself in terms of my self-care. Then definitely my esteem is always down, especially when maybe one part of me or one part of my self-care, let me say maybe I'm not achieving my spirituality level is lagging behind, then it will trickle down to how I view myself as an individual, because I feel like maybe I'm not doing enough, maybe I'm not giving enough of what I'm supposed to do, and how I've been able to combat that over the time is just having self-check-in moments, especially during the day. The other time I was speaking on my platform, I was saying you in the middle of the day find some time, maybe like 5 minutes, and just give to yourself, just ask yourself how you are. At that time you realize maybe in the morning hours it was very hectic, very hectic. And then maybe during the before noon or at noon, maybe you just do a self check-in. It will help you pump your evening part or your afternoon part, and it will not be the same level of. So I've tried to be able to incorporate that, even if not on a daily basis, but especially on those times that I am feeling so much overwhelmed. Just get to a point, why am I feeling this way? And once I get to understand why exactly I am feeling that way, then I can be able to get to that reason why I am feeling that way. Aside from the point of now I am feeling overwhelmed, I am not feeling okay, and now I feel like my whole body, my whole internal well-being is not okay. But now just trying to figure out what exactly am I not okay in, and dealing with that without involving all these other elements of my not feeling okayness. Yeah,
I think that's a really good practice, because I've even, like, as you've been speaking, I just remembered the aspect when you're saying, like, maybe I'm not feeling okay, maybe I'm lagging behind in this thing, and then you feel like it's like the whole energy is in your body. You find that if you keep asking, just keep stressing on it, like, why am I not like this? And you're not looking for the exact point, as you said, where what's making you exactly not feel okay. Then you find that you've been in that period for a long time, and then that would now define even your mood for a week, a month, a year, 10 years. You're still just in that like mood. You're like, I really want to do something else, but no, you just still sluggish. It's a good thing that you said, like, we really need to also just snap back from that and now get to the action bit. What is the problem and how can I go about it?
Yeah, and like most of the time, I have come to realize maybe it's because I want something to be very perfect. Actually, like after I've done that for like a week, and I've realized it's just one area of my life that I want it to be very perfect. And maybe you can tell me if you have experienced that as well, whether you have dealt with wanting to make things super perfect, and now it ends up wasting time. It ends up now you can't even move ahead because it is not working for you, and how you have navigated through it.
I would just still relate to the previous question. Yes, I have. Yeah, I have struggled with perfectionism before, right? Because, like you see, the way I think it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Also maybe being in a position, maybe going through school. You see, you're always this kid that like is maybe you're doing well in school, so also teachers are
cheering you on.
Like all along your life, you've been like, yes, go, you're doing good.
Oh yeah.
If and then that's how you lived, and then you get to maybe university, and then you're like, things are actually different. Things are actually different. There are people who are actually smarter than you.
Yeah, and it's okay.
And it's okay, but you can imagine coming from this point where you're always like maybe good, or they're just things that you feel like you do them perfectly. Things are supposed to be in a particular way. This is how I like things to be. So I have, but now that's when it came to, like, you find when a small failure comes in, that's the first point. You're getting a rejection, or rather, let's say, a resistance from a different external force. So it's like maybe you're dancing, and like it's always you're dancing as well, and then there's someone who's like, no, you don't know how to dance. So you see how it is, and it's something you've not experienced in your childhood or growing up. it takes a toll on you. And that's when you realize, wait, then probably I've just been gaining my self-esteem and confidence continuously from these extrinsic factors. But the moment failure or rejection comes in, it now shows the real you. I would say it's just the same thing. So you find at that point, I was this perfectionist. I loved things in a particular way, and you give me a job, I would do it perfectly to the best of my ability, like accuracy. I don't know what,
which is a good thing.
It is a good thing, but the point that I learned that it's okay to embrace failure and understanding that growing, you're dealing with different people from different families, environments that have not been raised the same way, that have not gone through the same, let's say, culture, family structures. The same, like you're not related in every aspect, like in the same way, right? And just understanding that you need to accommodate all these people, sometimes also listen to other people's ideas and be okay with accepting that actually the idea is actually better than mine, and allowing them to take maybe the lead on something. Yeah, it took a while, but the good thing is it was a progressive journey, and it's now got to a point where I'm now even like open. I'm like, okay, why is this person acting this way? And then you understand that, oh, maybe sometimes maybe they were not brought up in the way you were brought up. And I think that removes that aspect of perfectionism, because you now start understanding and giving people grace to understand that there's room for failure, and also room for failure is a room for opportunity. Yes.
Oh, there is room for failure.
And in that room,
there is room for opportunities. One for the day, guys. One for the day. Yeah, but I feel, I don't know. It's a thin balance between perfectionism and delivering whatever that you're supposed to deliver. So how do we know when it is now getting to perfectionism level and now not delivering according to what you are supposed to deliver?
For me, I would say most perfectionists deliver very well, because you'll find maybe you as a perfectionist, you want everything to be the best, like accurate to detail. If this is what the manual says, you go by the manual and ensure like all those areas are filled, like there are no loopholes, or there are no if it's a circle, let it be a perfect circle. If it's if the corners of maybe a rectangle, let them be like exact corners. Let it not look like it's kind of going to curve, or so I feel like most perfectionists really deliver. So even as much as you're saying maybe there's a thin balance between perfectionism and maybe not delivering, I don't know unless there's a different opinion, but personally I feel like for perfectionists, they do deliver. And maybe for our audience, you can maybe give us insights if that's also the case. If you feel like maybe sometimes perfectionists might just be talkers than doers. Yeah. You can also be just in motion with all perfect life and lifestyle, or how to do things, but in real sense you're not doing anything. Yeah, but in my opinion, I feel like most perfectionists actually deliver to the best of their ability, because they have this essence of making sure, because they get recognition for it, making sure that things are actually as per that standard set. Yeah.
But there is no time.
Yeah,
That is it.
there is no time, but
We need to be moving to the next thing. We can't be focused on one thing for 7 hours.
No, I don't think like they're very efficient. It's not like they're, I don't know, have you been a perfectionist?
I
before?
have, and
Maybe tell us your
even from the
experience.
smallest things, like even cleaning the house. My mom could be like, "Why are you wasting a lot of time here? And you need to be doing something else," you know. And now it got to a point now, like she had said it so much, even me, and until I was like, okay, then I just need to like do not the bare minimum, the bare minimum, because I want it clean, because once I leave that place, I want to see it clean, like I can be able to tap myself on the back of my shoulder and like, you did a good job, yeah. But still, not taking too much time doing it's just from the small things that I've been a perfectionist, but when like I've grown up to now be an adult, I'm like, okay, there is no time, and we can't be focusing on one thing for a very long time. So let me do what is just actually best to my ability and move.
I feel like I think that's also true in that context. However, for me, I feel like for my class was different, and for people who have had conversations with who are perfectionists, most of them, like, you give them a deadline, you tell them this work needs to be done in 5 hours or by the next day. They would have done it. They would rather stay the entire night, but make sure they've met the deadline, and at the same time, it is perfect to them. They feel like, that was the best. You see.
But you see, you have taken your sleeping time. You were supposed to say,
yeah.
Now you see, it's a problem.
Yeah, I actually bringing it up like that. I now see, it's time consuming. It's really time consuming, and I think it's true. Sometimes it's a barrier to progress, but I also feel like as individuals, we should also give these people grace, these people time. Just as you probably are not used to being a perfectionist, you can't expect the other person to also adopt your sluggish manner of doing
especially when you're dealing with different cultures.
Yes.
I feel when you're dealing with different cultures, it is a patience. Like you see, patience is a virtue.
Patience
as a virtue, and it actually pays.
Patience pays.
And I think also just being explored to other people, as you said, or just like traveling, it helps you see that, okay, this is not just the only way that I can be doing things. I can change my mindset to be doing things this other way and try it, and maybe it works. Or even if it does not work, try another route and maybe it will work.
Yeah. I really think, and it's not also easy to change that mindset, especially things that relating to your environment. Most of the time you've spent growing.
Yeah.
It's not easy if you knew water is color purple growing, and then you get to campus, someone tells you water is red or water is blue. How? It is
purple.
So that's how difficult it is to change, but also just making it intentional to actually change and know that whatever environment you are in doesn't mean that everything was right. Whatever you're being taught was right. You now have a brain of yours. You're interacting with different people and get to learn other people's way of doing things. Yes.
And it is room for growth.
Yeah, it's room for growth. And then I don't know. In relation to this, there's also an episode we were talking about failure and businesses, and also I've just spoken about failure here. You'd find that most people relate failure with setbacks, or failure is for the weak. Why are you smiling like that?
Because I can remember the number of times I have failed.
They're uncountable. I don't know what's your opinion on this, because for me, I feel like failure is room for growth, but it did not also just start like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Initially, I used to feel like actually, yeah, when you fail, it's like you are done, like you're completely done. Until I got to understand actually, some, not even some, almost all or most of the successful people have failed a number of times. But also in this failure, we don't just mean you're not doing anything and you're just going to fail blindly. No.
No,
No.
that is not what we are saying.
No. It means that depending on whatever you're doing, you've put effort. If it's business, you tried market research, or you have that idea, you've really tried to put, like you've put effort, but you still failed. It is healthy. But not sleeping in the house and then you say, oh, it failed. No. So I don't know what your opinion is.
I agree. And actually, I was reading the story about 7 Up. You know where 7 Up came from? The person had failed 6 times. So the 7th time is when now 7 Up was brought
Wow.
in. So he decided to just call the brand 7 Up. And imagine where 7 Up is right now.
Yeah,
it is all over the world. So if they could have decided to just leave it at the second time that they had failed, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, they would not have risen up to the now 7 Up that we know right now. So I feel like failure should not be a setback. Because me, as I was saying, the number of times I can count I have failed. You see, when you try so many things, yes. For me, my mantra has been: you try fast, lose fast, learn fast, and move on fast. Because once you have failed, you are now sleeping in bed, and then so who is supposed to take up that other? If not you, so who else is going to do it?
Yeah.
Unless there is somebody else coming to do your vision for you, then maybe. But at this point, there is no one else coming.
Yeah.
No one else is coming to do your vision and your dream. And I think failure is just a learning progress.
Yes.
I had talked about my journey in terms of my entrepreneurship, and I said my first client, the first client that I had was a high-end client, and I failed delivering to that specific person. But my next subsequent clients were happy, and that is how I got more clients.
Wow.
But it is based on this one client. So failure is, we should just take it positively, especially if you are starting, because that is where the seed has just been planted onto the ground, and now you need to keep on watering over and over again. So if you fail at the point of now you have watered a seed once, now you cannot water it again and again, then definitely it will not grow. That is how I see failure. So for me these days I'm like, okay, that is how it is. That is the feedback. Okay, so what next?
And maybe like what would you probably just easily advise or take someone who is not in that journey yet, someone who is still attached to maybe may it be perfectionism, or someone who is still attached to doing the best, they're not used to the failure mentality again. Like, how would you advise them to go through them? Maybe in relation to just what worked for you.
I think be open. Being open-minded is what works, I think. Is what has worked for me, I can say personally, over time. Because you see, when you are in that cocoon where you don't know what else is out there, you are happy, you are comfortable. You are very easy on yourself. And then now when you step out of now this safe space that you have created for yourself, or your upbringing has created for yourself, now when you step out and now you meet the giants of where you need to grow into, I feel like people should just be open-minded. That is a possible thing, but that should not limit you from going for it. That is why we have to come to the important thing, which is your why. Why are you doing it from the first place? So if your why is very solid, and you have seen this is where I wanna go, and even if I will take even if I will have so many setbacks, even on my journey to getting to where I am, I still have to stand up and get to the end of this journey. I cannot leave it hanging in between here because no one else is coming to
your rescue.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, that has really been great. I think, like, to wrap up, for me, I would also just say be open minded, explore, and understand. Don't be rigid in terms of thinking. I know, like, changing a mindset you've grown up with is a bit hard. First of all, right now, maybe you might find you're interacting with different people, and there are things someone is doing that really frustrates you, and you're like, why are you doing this? And then you remember, oh, we were not brought up in the same family or even in the same country, And you also just give them the grace and understand that for them, maybe there are things that you're doing that are really pissing them off, but it's just that they're also like, I'm just giving you the patience you deserve, And also just understanding that you need to be open to learning, and fail the right way while putting in the effort.
I agree. Yes. And also, just to add one thing, is that learn from other people's experiences. That is why I like listening to podcasts because you see, you get to listen to people who have gone there before you, so you get to see, okay, these are the challenges that I might meet, such that when I get to that challenge, I don't feel like it is so abnormal to me. Okay, yes, they faced it, so even me, the fact that I am here, I can be able to maneuver it in any way. So just listening to other people's experiences gives you that notion that, all right, I'm on the right track and I can do it.
Yes, that's really nice, and I love the way people really share these things out. Because initially you would think you're actually alone, the one who's struggling there, but in real sense, it's a journey everyone is going through.
True.
Yeah. So that has been really great, and it's been great having you here. Make sure you subscribe and share the content and continue the conversation on the comment section.
And until next time,
bye.